What's up, guys? Rarity Games here. Eric, as always, here with Chris.
Hey, guys.
Finally coming back to do another podcast. We've been getting a lot of videos done the last week, but needed to get another podcast done. I really enjoy these. Love hanging out with him, talking about all the cool stuff. And we got a lot to talk about. We missed out on we talked about Gamescom in This Week in Geek, but we did not get a chance to have a conversation about it. PAX. Tokyo Game Show's been going on all weekend. There's so much going on.
Bunch of big releases coming out at the beginning of September. We got Borderlands 3, Gears 5.
Dude, it's epic. I need to turn this fan off real quick. There we go. And yeah, I mean, dude, from all the new Final Fantasy VII stuff we've gotten, from all the new Kingdom Hearts I just made a video on. I'm loving it. Oh my god. Death Stranding, we kind of finally know what that game is. They showed off gameplay. No. You may have not have seen it. It came out last night.
No. I heard about it, but that's one of those games.
It's weird.
Even when we play it, I don't think we're really going to know what that game is.
I love the concept of, dude, it finally showed off real combat where he was fighting against guys and he was wrapping them up with ropes and tying them down. And then
the thing with the balloon like launch or whatever.
Yeah. And then when he got sucked into the other world and he's fighting the giant monster, he has to like throw stun grenades and like special grenades at it.
The combat in Kojima games, system-wise, have always been very polished. Metal Gear was always a very awesome, mechanically feeling game to experience. Story wasn't always necessarily for everyone. I think Death Stranding is going to be another one of those things where the story might not necessarily grab everyone, but mechanically it's going to be fantastic to play. Yeah,
dude, that's it's one I can't wait for, but I know it's not going to be one I buy immediately. I have to grab something like that on sale, and it's new and different. And it's the first of its kind in a way. Like, it's definitely Metal Gear Solid-esque in the gameplay. You can see it. Like, it's very similar. But I definitely want to check it out when it comes around.
One of the things I've been playing lately that just launched was Gears 5.
Yeah,
I have it through Game Pass Ultimate, so I have all the bundle of skins and everything, so I can play as a Terminator.
It looks so good.
I can play as Sarah Connor, a couple of the Spartans from Halo Reach. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome when they added that.
It's more Gears. It's Gears in 4K HDR, crispy, sharp, beautiful looking game, but it's... If you like Gears, here's some more Gears.
Oh, yeah.
The campaign is a little bit more different than I expected. It's almost like a pseudo open world. Like, you get dropped into this map and you have side missions that you might have to do to upgrade your robot buddy Jack, but you don't have to do.
That's a little different for the Gears series. That's kind of cool.
It is a little different. Some people have said it almost feels a little bit like the game that people don't like, Judgment, but I think it flows way better than Judgment ever did, and not only that, it looks so good as you're like just on the skiff skating around this ice world, like trying to traverse this landscape. It's sparse landscape, it's empty, but it looks beautiful. So like it's this weird juxtaposition of like you want to just hurry up and Gears, you shoot a thing, you use cover, you move along a thing to complete a thing. Yeah, that's Gears. Well, in this you're like almost having that like Uncharted kind of thing, or like the Tomb Raider kind of thing, where like, oh, there's this epic scenery moment. I'm supposed to appreciate this view before I go on to this next thing. I'm supposed to have the juxtaposition of something really beautiful and like aesthetically pleasing, and then like gritty war combat. And this one, more than any of the other Gears game, is very like, oh, war is bad, war kills people, which is something you don't expect from a Gears game. But
yes, war is bad.
It made the story slightly better. So
cool. And I dig that. I mean, it needed something like that, because if it didn't try to evolve a little bit, where was Gears going to go? The last two games, I didn't have anywhere near as much hype around them, and this one seems to have recaptured that a little bit.
And the fact that they tied the Ultimate Edition of the game with Game Pass Ultimate, where you get all the DLC and all the perks, it's just giving them another reason to sign up for Game Pass. It's another reason to sign up to get into the Microsoft ecosystem.
I think that's a big reason why people are playing this game, too, because they're like, well, it's there, and now I'm hyped for Gears.
So one of the things they did, and this was the first time around kind of thing, is you know how with certain games, when if you pre-order the super special edition, the ultimate edition, or the deluxe or whatever, you'll get in 3 or 4 or 5 days early or something like that. Mm-hmm. Well, now if you didn't just have Game Pass, you can play the game. But if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you can play the game like 5 days early or whatever. So the Game Pass Ultimate literally is the equivalent of the Ultimate Edition in store. And I think that's a really smart parody move that people are like, oh, well, if I'm getting this with all these perks and I was going to play, say, you know, a Forza Horizon 4 or whatever, it's just another reason that, like, if you have Game Pass, play it. Like, it's a fantastic game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily...
honestly, yes.
I wouldn't necessarily give it, like, you know, A++ in terms of a $60 game. But as a headline of a subscription service I pay for every month, I can easily see myself playing this for a couple of months and being real happy with it. Having a couple friends hop in and just enjoying the game. That's the other thing I've noticed through messing with it is... the tutorial and like the initial walkthrough was a lot more of a synopsis of all the Gears games and the universe and basic combat stuff that you would assume they wouldn't necessarily go over again with the 5th Gears game because they assume you've played a Gears game by now. But I was listening to, I believe it was Rod Ferguson on the Giant Bomb stage around E3, and they had said like, hey, this is something you have to do. You have to approach this game now, because there's going to be a lot of people that have never necessarily played a Gears game just downloading this for free as part of their subscription. And they have to onboard them in a way that they wouldn't necessarily onboard, like, seasoned Gears players. So.
Yeah. I definitely heard a lot more about this game from just people, like friends and random people talking about it, than I have heard from the last 2 Gears games. They did not... like at all have an impact like this one seems to be having, and not to mention the Gears Pop game, Gears Tactics.
Yes.
They built up to the Gears game and got people like playing in that universe again, and then Games Pass. That I think it has changed the game a little bit for Gears.
With the Coalition, the studio Microsoft has making Gears, they've had that studio making exclusively Gears for a couple years now. So it's not surprising 4 or 5 years in, we're seeing all these little side projects starting to spring up at the same time. Because it takes several years for an idea to grow into an actual product. So one of the other big games that came out recently, Borderlands 3.
Literally... What, 2 days ago?
Yeah,
as of recording?
A couple days. I haven't had much hands-on time. I only played about like 45 minutes or so. It was super fun. Super bright, colorful. It's Borderlands. It's got that goofy sense of like dry, off the wall humor, but it was cool.
Well,
it was more Borderlands.
Yeah, that's what that is my my thing with buying it. I've been right on the edge of buying it. If you guys checked out my new playthrough in Control I just put out, I mentioned this in there that I was thinking about getting Borderlands 3. And I was right on the edge of it, and I was like, no, I want to play this with people because I feel like that's where the most fun's going to be. So I hit up some friends to see if they were grabbing it yet, and then they're going to hold off, wait for a sale or something. So, I'm very excited for the new Borderlands. I think the new characters look amazing. I think the way it looks, how it's like the graphically better than it used to be. Even though it is that cel-shaded style, it looks much crispier, and I'm sure it feels much crispier. But I had to hold off. I was like, it's definitely like you said, it's more Borderlands. So I know what I'm missing, so I'm not that worried about missing it. So I'll catch it. I'll probably catch it when it goes on sale or something.
Likewise,
I'm excited for it though.
I'll probably pick it up later. It felt fantastic, but I have so many other games of a service at the time that are taking my time up.
I'm done with them. I'm done with games as a service. I'll play them for the story, and I'm done.
I treat it like a chain restaurant. I'll go like once a month. I'll stop in, say hey, check some stuff out. I'm not really going to accomplish much. I'm not really going to get far in the game, but it's also so hard to get far in some of those games. So I'm still playing the Division 2, still hopping in that every once in a while.
Really? I'm surprised.
Yes. I literally only do it like maybe like twice a month. Go spend like 2 hours here, 2 hours there. It feels the same every time I go back. It's great to play every time I go back. I picked up Anthem on sale finally. It was like $13. Okay. I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can run through this single player, turn off all the party stuff, turn off all the multiplayer stuff, and I'm just running random campaign missions. I'm halfway through the game in about like 10 hours. For $13, that's a justified purchase for that.
Yeah, damn right.
I'll give them credit, they fixed a lot of the glitches. It looks awesome. I got a new 4K TV, so that in HDR, it looks great.
Yeah.
It plays fantastic. It feels like a Destiny clone, you know what I mean? And I haven't played Destiny in forever. I wasn't really tempted to go back to it after I beat it with the initial launch, so it's fun. It was a great quick run through. I'm just about done it. It's one of those things that's slowly working its way onto the shelf.
Yeah, that's cool. But that and speaking of Destiny, it's like in Borderlands. Thinking of those two games recently a lot. I like based with Shadowkeep coming from Destiny, and then Borderlands. I've been seeing so many Borderlands ads and gameplay.
Yeah.
God, those games are so similar. Like, it is so crazy how much Destiny took from the Borderlands like series to like learn from it. But I think that's awesome.
In the same token, Borderlands ends up doing the old school mindset, and honestly, it feels better. You can just drop an item for somebody in your shared game in Borderlands, and it just you can pick it up.
Didn't
and go.
Used to be like that though. You used to steal the weapon, and that was nope, this weapon's mine, and then your buddy's like, "Motherfucker, I wanted that epic. We fought them together." Yada yada.
But just the fact that you can do that, where in some of these other games of the service they gate that
random
trading,
engrams where you don't even know what you're getting ever.
Yeah, and it's
Borderlands is like, oh, you want this weapon? Do this mission, this section.
It's little ease of use and ease of play things that make it a little bit better.
It does, and that's why I'm excited for it. Like I just said, I'm done with games as a service, and I don't mean completely. I mean I'm not gonna continue to get wrapped up in the service. I'm gonna buy the game, play the game. Wait till I feel like once I hit that main story plot point and then I feel like I'm satisfied, I'll stop. If I'm not, then maybe I'll go and check out the DLCs or whatever. But once I'm done those, I'm not going to keep returning for endgame content anymore. I gotta move on. Once I hit that endgame content, if I want to try a little, I gotta move on.
That's how I played Destiny 2. I played it for like 5 or 6 weeks. I ran through it with 2 characters. Got the story done twice and got a bunch of achievements out of it, had fun with it. Never did a raid, never did crazy endgame 16-player puzzle-solving content. None, and I was out. I did enough of that in Destiny 1, the Taken King, with like the, the calcified shards and all that stuff, all that buried stuff. And it was fun, and I had my fill of it.
But it's like, why am I doing this after a week or two of doing it? It's like, all right. I mean, that gun's going to be really cool to get, and it's going to feel satisfying to complete this mission, but if you really, it's like, I got a whole nother game that I can play. I have a whole nother 20 games I can play.
Not to go back to the previous topic, but one of the things I love about Gears 5 is, you know how long that campaign is? 12 to 15 hours.
20 tops, usually.
You can sit down in a play session in an evening and dump an hour or 2 into it and feel like you've accomplished something, feel like you've made major progress story-wise, and not only that, but just playing the game.
I was going to say, it's what gaming used to be.
Exactly.
And
I love some of these expansive, huge games. I love Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you put 2 or 3 hours into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it's just dropping the bucket in a 90, 120-hour game.
I said this in my playthrough of Control, which I'm really, really enjoying that game, and we're gonna have to talk about that soon. But I've been playing so many beat 'em ups, hack 'em slash type games, like where I'm playing Astral Chain, really enjoying that game too. And that has a little more mechanics to draw me in. Then I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I was playing a little bit of Smash Brothers. I was playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So it's like I'm constantly just beating the crap out of things or slapping them with a sword. And I'm like, okay, some of these games have cool little mechanics that are interesting, but I need to move on to something very different. And I go, so that was where I lied with Borderlands or Control.
Yeah.
Grab Control, and now I'm throwing buildings at people through telekinesis and dashing around and shooting everybody, and I am enjoying it so much.
Shout out to Remedy, makers of that game. They made Quantum Break on Xbox last generation, and it was okay. It was solid. It wasn't like blow the doors off amazing.
And Alan Wake before
Alan Wake,
that.
before that, absolutely.
Which
So,
they just got the rights from. We talked about that in a past episode. They got the rights back from Microsoft for the Alan Wake series.
which is very possible they'd make another one as like a spin-off because they've led some breadcrumbs leading in a trail that Alan Wake and Control are in the same universe, which is pretty cool.
Yes, and there's supposedly there's DLC that announcement that just dropped for Control, and one of the art pieces to show you what each DLC is had Alan Wake artwork on the cover. So people are like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Like, we'll see what goes on. And I've been thinking about it while playing the game that it seems like it's back in time a little bit. It's not current time. So maybe a little after like World War II area, a little after that, like maybe even later 80s, like because they're using different older guns, I realized, and a couple other things. It just seems like it's not current times.
So one of the other big things that happened recently was Nintendo and the Switch decided to roll out Super Nintendo games finally.
Dude, they rolled out so much this drop.
much.
They gave a free game out with the Kirby game. They gave and free DLC challenge packs for Super Smash Brothers. Free Super Nintendo games, and there's like wait, isn't there like 20 of them too?
Yeah, they dropped about. Let me check my list here. I believe it's like 17.
20.
It's like 17 to 20 of them. Now they did say they're not going to be dropping as many NES classic games and Super Nintendo games as they were. Now keep in mind, gang, this is a separate app on the Switch you're going to have to download. I, for about a day or so, kept looking through the NES app, expecting some kind of update or like posting or something. It's a whole separate app you have to download from the Switch App Store.
Dude, so many.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
actually
separate
have
app
the list right
completely.
here.
3,
We have
6,
Super Mario
9.
World. We have Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island,
20 games.
Star Fox, Legend of Zelda, Links to the Past. One of my personal favorites. Another one of my favorites, Super Metroid. We have Stunt Race FX, Kirby's Dream Land 3, F-Zero, amazing game. Pilot Wings, Kirby's Dream Course, Brawl Brothers, Breath of Fire 2, Demon's Crest.
I did not play a lot of these games due to the fact that I was a young, small baby when people were playing
soccer.
this. I actually am pretty excited about this, and it's on my Switch, so it's fun to just hop in and I'll run my hotspot on my phone or something and just rock out. I can mess around and just play some old Zelda and stuff.
Absolutely, I already dumped about 45 minutes or an hour into Super Metroid, and it felt fantastic. I was worried on the Joy-Cons it wouldn't necessarily handle quite as well, but it's very cool. I also heard that they're, just like what they did with the NES Classic, they're going to be having SNES-themed Joy-Cons exclusively through Nintendo.com if you are a Nintendo Online member.
I saw a couple.
I believe they're like $80 for a pair, just like the last ones.
Joy-Cons.
Yeah, so... I mean, if you're really feeling them, that's cool. It's a little bit more expensive than I would want to pay, but hey, that option's out there.
Whatever.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But
the Switch Lite is also getting ready to come out in about a week or so.
Yeah,
so
they did another
cool.
presentation on that, and like the IGN got their hands on it and stuff, and they were like literally like Brian Altano, I think it was, slid the Switch into his pocket in his pants, and people were like, "Hold on a second, I didn't think it was that small.
Yeah,
you can put your Switch in your pocket."
The 5-inch screen is a 5-inch widescreen, so it's got a pretty like long and thin form factor. I'd be still kind of worried about the buttons on the built-in Joy-Cons. I think that's going to be a thing.
I didn't even think about that. Let's not get into all that.
I think that's
we talked about that.
That's
going
to be a thing in the future, considering they're hard connected.
Maybe not.
To it.
They might have learned because they've been fixing a lot of them before it came out. They may have changed it because apparently it was just a little graphite sensor. There's part graphite in it, so as the Switch Joy-Con kept moving, the metal piece kept scratching the graphite sensor, and then eventually it would wear down to the point where it would wander. So that's what I think. I think if it's something that small, you can change it to a metal sensor.
That being said, though, as an adult male, I don't have like the biggest hands, but I'm strong enough, and those little Joy-Con nubs.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm gonna break it.
Yeah, they do feel like they're just a little too fragile. Like if you feel a PS4 controller or an Xbox controller, I mean, obviously there's a size difference. That being said, but it just feels like this is a hollow switch or a hollow button moving around, whereas the other ones are solid.
Speaking of Nintendo, they again, so many announcements. They dropped 2 new character announcements for
Smash.
I'm sure most of you have heard Banjo-Kazooie. Everybody knows about that.
Yeah.
And then that's coming. And then what was the other guy? He's from I'm drawing a blank on it. He's from this very specific game. It's an old fighting game. I think it was on the SNES, but
I don't know. Keep going.
yeah,
I'm not gonna remember.
Regardless of that, I didn't even want to talk about that, but I just thought it was cool that they announced a couple more characters. They're talking about that again, they announced that that pack, and they announced another fitness thing. Yeah, do you see this thing?
The wiggle
the
band
Nintendo
sensor?
Ring, you're gonna be able to hook a Joy-Con up into this band and strap it to your body. And then you can dance and move and exercise around, and it'll track and play a game with you as you exercise.
The commercials and the ads show there's like a one that straps around either thigh. It seems like that would be like a movement / heart rate kind of thing. And then there's a circular steering wheel sized band that has it looked like 2 on there at various points, so you could spin and move and flex and do stuff. I get the feeling it's going to be like the Wii Fit for this generation. You know what I mean?
But
it's going to
way
be the Switch Fit.
Better technology.
Well,
and the thing is, it's weird to me because they didn't do almost any marketing for it, considering it's coming out next month. They just started talking about it, and then they're like, "Oh, October."
I think that's one of those things where it'll sell to the people who are interested in that, and then they're not really going to put
marketing. It's going to be like Labo, yeah.
They're not going to put marketing money into it. It's just going to be one of those things they roll out there, and whoever likes it is going to be, a yoga studio full of them somewhere.
And then they'll make like a Switch bundle that comes with it specifically. Again, yeah.
Well, not only that, the Joy-Con's all the hardware to it is pretty much a plastic band and a Velcro strap with Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
So it might be one of those things, much like when they came out with the Wii Motion Plus. Like, you had to buy this weird game to get another Joy-Con or another Wiimote to use it. So that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to bundle
stuff with the Wii.
They're probably going to bundle a controller with it to sell it, because say if you just have the Switch, you have 2 Joy-Con, you might need 2 in there and the third for the other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah. What other game did they?
They actually did a couple of games. They had some new stuff for Luigi's Mansion 3 coming out soon. Which is the middle of October, I want to say. So that's only a couple weeks away, a month away.
Soon. Yeah.
Even sooner than Luigi's Mansion 3, which is going to be super fun and looks really entertaining, is Zelda Link's Awakening. That
a lot of
comes
people
out in
got
10 days.
Yeah, a lot of people got hands on it at PAX and at Tokyo Game Show right now.
From what everyone's saying, it feels a lot better than it did at the E3 builds. The E3 builds was probably like an earlier alpha build.
Behind closed doors,
It was
that's why.
It was a little chunkier, and Nintendo was still polishing it out.
Yeah.
That being said, I am interested to see if there is any kind of performance difference with some of the newer games on like the launch Switch per se versus the new better battery life, slightly better processor Switch. It's probably not really going to be a thing.
Not this game.
You never know. Zelda
Pokemon, you might see it first.
Zelda's still a system performance demanding game. I think Pokemon, if they're doing some of the network functionality stuff that they're going to be rolling into it.
No, I was thinking because of the colors and and everything when you're in that big stadium, when you're growing your Pokemon into a giant Pokemon, and it's like, and there's a stadium that I can see some issues popping up right there.
Well, that also is probably one of the reasons that they ended up pushing Metroid Prime 4 back a minute. Like, you have to optimize it in a way that it's going to be 720p.
I thought they just scrapped that game and they moved developers.
Well, they moved developers. They didn't scrap the game. They just delayed it again. So whether
they were backtracking.
Yeah, whether they're going to transfer assets over to the new studio or not, nobody knows. That's like hush hush, Mr. Nintendo kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's very odd thing though. And another game this happened to was Dead Island recently. I noticed Dead Island 2, they've hopped developers twice now. So they're on their third developer.
Well, the developer that was originally supposed to do it ended up making Dying Light, and Dying Light turned into such a success.
Techland, and now they're making 2 and they're out. They're
exactly. So although they still technically own the IP, they own the game, they can, through Deep Silver, just kind of have somebody else do it.
Yeah, but that to me, that's not a great idea. I'm not excited for Dead Island 2. I'm very excited for Dying Light 2.
They had Dead Island Riptide come out, and it wasn't like Dead Island 1. It was like a 4-player, like...
Yeah.
You know, it was different. And it was okay, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. I just thought I'd mention that real quick. I'm horribly drawing a blank right now, and you would have to check. Actually, hold on, I can pull up something right here.
What are you trying to figure out?
I was wondering about the whatchamacallit, the Switch games that got announced. I feel like something that just got announced recently that I'm drawing a blank on.
Well, I've got the full list here.
You have? If that's what I was asking.
Yeah, here. Just scroll through.
It actually got announced though.
Yeah, that's the full list. There's like 20 games or whatever. And like I was saying earlier, they're not going to be releasing NES and Switch game or NES and Super Nintendo games.
Oh no, yeah, I know with the NES games, I'm not worried about them.
Because I feel they were also getting to the point with the NES games where they were starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I could have swore they announced a game. I guess not.
Well, it wasn't Square that was announcing Secret of Mana, right? Because that was coming on PS4 too.
Secret of Mana?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Secret of Mana, if memory serves, now I could be wrong, it originally started off as like Final Fantasy Adventures on Game Boy, and then ended up being its own franchise that started making it on PlayStation, and they just announced either a sequel or a remaster on PS4, and I want to say Switch.
Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I do remember seeing something.
It was one of those games that, like, in Japan, there's some weird, like, retail stores that are bundling the PS4 and the Switch versions together.
That's who it was. Fatal Fury is the guy from Super Smash Brothers. Terry from Fatal Fury. That's who they announced. Okay. I just looking for the see if I saw any game announcements that was in there. I don't know why I felt like maybe because it was just a huge Nintendo Direct. I just felt like there was a game announcement in there. I don't know why. I could have swore they announced something else or gave us news on something else.
Yeah.
The Kirby game. That's what I was thinking of. The free Kirby game. It's a 4-player Kirby game. And it's just free. They launched it, never talked about it, and they just launched it. It's been a very popular trend lately with Nintendo and a lot of others.
What they're doing is a lot of these projects that maybe don't necessarily have the vision or the guidance to be a full release or something that isn't necessarily a product they want to charge for. They roll it into the online service. They get something out of it, and it's a good way for things to see the day of light that maybe wouldn't necessarily get released otherwise.
Especially when it's a free title. What's the point in spending marketing on it when you can just do that after it's already released? Like when you put your marketing out there, you say, hey, go check out our game now. Like, you see an ad for it, you're not waiting a month or two to get it. It's just already there. It's free. You're going to download it. So I thought that was pretty cool. It looks like a semi-fun game. I've never been like a huge Kirby person. Like, I don't go buy the Kirby standalone games.
I'll play one every once in a very rare while. Kirby was always the generic, like, adventure platformer.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, whatever.
Yeah. So, But coming from Tokyo Game Show this weekend, oh man, dude, I'm so happy.
Oh yeah,
because this just Square Enix in general. Like, the Kingdom Hearts stuff, I already covered that in a video, so I won't talk about that too much here. You guys can go check that out if you want to.
Well, that and Ghost Recon dropped a lot of stuff, didn't they?
Not at Tokyo Game Show.
Not at Tokyo Game Show, but it was at
PAX and stuff. Yeah. I played the beta, and I made a video on that as well. So, no, the Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts stuff I'm really excited about. The Final Fantasy 7, dude, oh my god, there's so much new stuff. Like, they dropped a whole new trailer a couple days ago, and that looked so crispy, gave us a little more insight into what's going on in the story. And then for disc 1 or whatever, then they gave us a full gameplay walkthrough and showed us all the mechanics, details of everything going on, and oh my god,
and they did announce a Final Fantasy 12/Final Fantasy 7 like hybrid mode where you could take
Yeah.
it off the action RPG part of it and put like a timer in there, and it stops at like the end of a turn-based action, which was kind of
Yeah, I
the
was trying
system that they had in 12. So that's going to be a nice half step for the people that wanted to play it like old school turn-based,
Dude, I
but you can
watched-
real easy just go into the modern like action Final Fantasy 15 combat system. So that's going to be really cool.
I watched the dude playing the game. He was sitting there smashing square and triangle and doing all this, and then they switched it to the other mode, and he literally was holding the controller like this and went and waited until Cloud was doing a certain move, and then press like triangle, ding, ding, ding. All right, pick this move, boop, bang, and then all right, nope, block here.
And
that was like he pressed like 3 buttons, and the whole time on the screen it was just boom, boom,
and
boom,
a lot
boom,
of that,
blah, blah,
a lot
blah,
of that they did in the Final Fantasy 12 remaster when they went back and like re-updated the old PS2 game for current gen consoles.
I've noticed
they modified the system where like you could script actions like, oh, I want you to use fire and then heal yourself and then
do
guard this
then
person.
Do that. Yeah, because you have time while the animation is happening. You can choose your next thing. So it is turn based, but the action never stops.
Yeah.
Like it keeps.
Well,
you
it's
focused.
almost like that old school pen and paper, like D&D kind of style, where you can give people 2 or 3 actions for the dice rolls to do, while everyone takes their turn simultaneously.
Yeah,
so
it's smart.
it keeps the action going a little bit more, which is
it's
nice.
definitely cool,
but still has that turn based vibe.
Yeah, and there's a lot of just really cool concepts coming out of that. I'm so excited about that. That is definitely my most anticipated game of next year, and I ordered. I was telling you, I ordered the digital deluxe edition on Amazon because they're selling the regular edition for most of the games coming out early 2020 are all $50, like Avengers, Cyberpunk, all that. So $10 cheaper. Why not?
One of the things that I picked up my 4K TV for, and that I'm eager for, is the new Star Wars game. That's coming out in November, so
that was $50 as well.
That's $50 as well through Amazon, and that's also not that far away. So they're on media lockdown. I was hoping to see something new come out of PAX, but you really didn't get too much new information. I think they had a panel and they talked about like the type of lightsabers and stuff, like super specific Star Wars stuff that even I wasn't too interested in, which said something. But that game looks amazing.
There's no official release date for that, is there?
No, I think. I mean, let me double check. I want to say it was like November 14th or something like that. It's in the middle of November. Like it's
this year.
Yeah, it's this year.
I remember. I wanted
season.
to say that, but I'm like, I don't feel like it's ready to be out this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. But you got to remember, it's Respawn, and Respawn
They don't
has already
really talk much.
And
either.
Respawn has already stealth dropped a massive game.
That was smooth as butter.
Which that was still this year too. Don't forget, that was like February. They just showed up one day with Apex Legends and hey, we made a battle royale. Here you go.
We mentioned that earlier with Nintendo seems to be learning from that too, man. That's a really good tactic. It really is. That seems to work out really well for a lot of companies.
It does, and in the same token, it doesn't. Because if you have a big company that has a loyal following of fans and a good reputation, it's a great way that you already have a ballpark of guaranteed sales. And then word of mouth from there and any kind of press and influencer stuff will just spread it even further. But if you do that, like CD Projekt Red, amazing studio, makes only some of the highest quality games around. They had a problem with it wasn't quite a card game. It was more of like a tactical top-down action kind of game.
Yeah.
In the Witcher universe, it launched exclusively on GOG because they really don't like DRM, which thank you CD Projekt. But they had a huge problem with sales because in doing that, their loyal followers got their hands on it and it got that, however many tens of thousands or hundred thousands of sales, and then it just stopped.
Yep.
And
no one's going to go out of their way to get something new.
Exactly. And then they did some updates to it, and they released it on Steam and a few other places. It came to the Xbox store. And that found its footing because CD Projekt makes awesome games. But that just goes to show you how that's like a double-edged sword, and it might work out great if you're big enough that you can do the Bethesda kind of thing, which honestly, I don't even think the Bethesda can do the Bethesda kind of thing anymore. They've had...
I don't think they want to now.
Well, they've had a couple trials and tribulations, and they've tried it a couple times, and it worked out great for them a couple times, and then a couple of times not so much.
Yeah.
So, I am on Jedi Star Wars Fallen Order page. November 15th is when that comes out.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to misspeak, and I'm like, no, it should be out next year.
So yeah, right. So
that's in my head. That's how it feels.
That's literally only like 8 weeks away.
That's exciting.
That is very exciting, and I think they needed to do that because if that game gets pushed past the holiday season into early 2020,
not looking good.
You have to put it up against Avengers, which keeps looking better and better the more they show of it.
Cyberpunk,
which
and Final Fantasy VII.
Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy VII, which are going to be huge. Well, Final Fantasy VII Part 1, but whatever.
Dude, nobody cares. Nobody. At first, people cared. The first, couple announcements we got, the first, year or two, it was, sitting in people's head. Everybody's like, I'm not liking this idea of being one part. And now people are like, oh, this game looks incredible. I don't give a fuck. Give me all the parts. That's all I've heard.
I think with any game they break up into a kind of chunk or episodic style like that, it's all going to determine how quickly they get out the other episodes.
Yes,
but if it comes out maybe 9 months or a year later, cool, no problem. If it's 2 years in between episodes,
I think they're going to have one team working on the DLC for the first part. You get DLC drop, DLC drop, DLC drop. Then you get part 2, full part 2, and that way it's another full game essentially. Mm-hmm. Then DLC drop, drop.
Didn't Square take the Kingdom Hearts lead to Final Fantasy VII?
Yes, and I'm not going to get into the Kingdom Hearts stuff, but I'm very happy with how the DLC is turning out, so I can see this working out in a similar way, but I like what they're doing because they're making sure they don't have to take on way farther in the story. That is so much content in those 3 discs, man. So why not chunk it down a little bit and optimize the fuck out of it? You know what I mean? You make it a 40-hour story instead of the 100-hour story.
And not only that, if you think about the scope of the original game, when it launched, it was 3 or 4 CDs at the time. So
and it's so low res that you're able to run it, and then the cinematics probably took up most of the space on that.
Yeah, there were. Well, I wouldn't go most, but a lot, definitely a lot for a CD back in
Dude,
was it 99, 98?
The game looked incredible for a PS1. Getting into that territory of talking about Star Wars too, this year, for the Game of the Year thing, I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and it's the main ones, and this is my opinion, nobody yell at me for this, but Kingdom Hearts 3, which I don't think is going to win nowhere near, but that's one of the conversations.
Sure.
And then it's going to be Control, in my opinion.
Was Kingdom Hearts 3 February? Beginning of the year?
Yeah, and Star Wars. Those are the 3 that I can think of in my head right now that are okay, this is an incredible game for the most part. What other games are coming out that could contest Star Wars or Control?
So I'll agree with you, but I think there's an asterisk next to Star Wars. Reason being is we have a Star Wars movie coming out in December right after the game. And I think if the Star Wars movie is well received, the game's going to sell a lot of copies.
Doesn't matter.
If
doesn't matter. The votes are done by then for Game of the Year. They're done by the time the movie comes out.
I'm not talking about that from a journalistic standpoint. I'm talking about it from a sales standpoint. If people have the same problems with the new Star Wars that they did The Last Jedi, I think it'll sell well, but I don't think it's going to blow the doors off.
I don't.
If it's a great Star Wars movie like 7 was, they're going to end up selling a lot more copies because the buzz around it. Grandma and Grandpa are going to end up giving the kiddies the Star Wars that they like.
Yes, but. All right, yes, I'll agree with you on that portion
they just
of
opened
it.
Up that
Sales-wise, I'll give you that. But for the most part, I think the majority of those sales for this game are already going to be done in November. November, early December, the majority of the sales for this game are going to be staggering. Dude, people still love the Star Wars universe. Just because they don't love this trilogy doesn't mean they're not excited for Mandalorian and not excited for even there's still people talking about Clone Wars and how excited they are about that. Like,
Well,
no, this game is going to
dog,
pop off.
Clone Wars is coming back again.
My point, you may not like, or somebody else may not like the trilogy. They're still dick hard for goddamn Star Wars.
I feel you. Like,
but
there are a lot of conditions out there.
I think this is going to be good for the Star Wars franchise as a whole, because it's going to shine light that Disney wants to talk about other portions of the universe. They don't want to just.
I think this
whatever.
is EA's last attempt to do something good with the Star Wars franchise. Because they're
that's why they're doing what they're doing.
They're probably running down they have like 3 years left on the contract.
I doubt it.
They might be able to get one more of these games out if it does incredibly well, and if Respawn can literally just turn around and go like, "Yep, time for Star Wars Fallen Order 2, more Fallen Orders."
I think they're gonna keep the license for a little while longer. Or it's going to be a more open-ended license where they go, you guys can make this series, and you're going to have a contract for this series for the next 2 games, and then we'll give it to other people,
That
too.
I think is a lot more likely. I think they might have it on a game-by-game basis, like they're starting to do with the Marvel Studios side games, because of the fact you see what EA has done with the contract for the past 7 years. They put out 2 Battlefront games. One was very... like 7 out of 10. It was cool, but it wasn't great. It wasn't as good as some of the older ones, but like the spirit was there. And then the second one was mired in nothing but controversy about loot boxes, and you're taking the kids' money to make Stormtrooper.
Dude,
oh
honestly,
my god!
It sounds funny, but I've heard pretty decent things about that game recently.
I pop in
From
and
the
play
true
it.
fans,
I pop in and play it every like 2 to 3 months or so. Like every time like a new big chunk of content comes out, I'll re-download the game, which is like an 80 gig download.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the game now.
It is well improved, and it always had that little nugget of DICE Studios in it, where it mechanically was great. Yeah. It played amazing when you're one of the robots and you're on Naboo charging up the steps to kill people in the palace. Like there was always parts of an awesome game in there. The problem was the parts of an awesome game in there had so many microtransactions strapped to everything you did.
Yeah, of course.
So it kind of gummed up the works. But playing a game or two, like a round or two in that game, you felt what they were trying to go for. It was an amazing game. That being said, DICE is having kind of a rough time right now after A, Battlefront 2 not doing as well. B, Battlefield 5 really didn't do as well as they expected, because Battlefield 1 was a huge success.
I think people are kind of tired of the Battlefield series.
I think they maybe would want to A, take a break, B, take it in a different direction, maybe do like a Bad Company kind of third person little weird thing. But they use that Frostbite engine, and Frostbite don't like third person.
Well,
that's why it's interesting that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is in Unreal. It's not in Frostbite. So
I wonder why.
It goes to show you that Respawn still carries.
Respawn loves Unreal, yeah.
Well, not only that, but Respawn still carries a certain amount of like anonymity from EA. Like Respawn's still going to do Respawn stuff, and EA's just going to be like, "Yep, we write checks and collect money."
And that's basically all right. To get off of that subject, so the Game of the Year thing again. Back to that.
Oh yeah.
I think Star Wars, and then I did not mention Death Stranding, which is there's a lot of stuff coming out of that at Tokyo Game Show. Like I said, there's gameplay now. We've seen some interesting stuff. I have a feeling this story is going to be pretty incredible for what it is. And that could be one of those things that get the journalists going, this is really interesting. It's going to be in the talks for a Game of the Year. It's going to be.
It could be really, really good or really, really weird.
Exactly. And I think now to go back to Control, which I want to get on the topic of that game because of how much it surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has a good argument for Game of the Year. More people need to play this game. Right off the bat, you feel the story is going to be something you are super interested in. Like, I don't want to spoil too much. If you want to watch the beginning of the game to get captured by it, I have the whole first act up on our YouTube channel. It grabbed me so quickly, dude. It's so creepy, so dark, such a different vibe than something I've played at all recently, and it leans more towards that weird vibe of Death Stranding kinda. But I feel like it might have had the right tone, not too far weird. It's just enough to where it's odd. Everything's very weird and abstract.
In that X-Files kind of weird.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly, because I don't want to get into it too much, but you guys know that if you become the director you're a girl looking for your brother and having repetitive dreams about this place. You find it in real life. It's called the Federal Bureau of Control. You find a man with his head blown off in the office, and it's the old director. You hear the gunshot. You go in, and it's the old director. For some reason, she decides, I'm going to pick this gun up off the ground. Picks the gun up and gets transported into another dimension. And this gun is trying to accept her as the new director. And she was essentially destined to be there. That's pretty much as far as I'm going to get into this.
Don't go any more into that already. That's a lot.
It is wild, dude. And you start, like, as you go, you encounter these objects of power, which a gun is an object of power. And you're essentially becoming, like, this super psychic telekinesis bearing crazy woman that can wreck house. And it's awesome.
And the physics that Remedy uses in that engine is incredible, because they did the same thing in Quantum Break, like the way stuff flies around.
Dude, I'm so glad I bought this game, like so happy, and I'm really happy I decided to record it. I had this weird urge. I was like, you know what? I think I should capture some gameplay. I got 2.5 hours into the first section. I was like, I looked over at the clock. I'm like, I think it's time to end this video, guys. We're going to clock out on this one. I'm going to do a part 2 right now. This game is banging. Dude, I'm telling you, you're going to hear that. That's going to get some awards at the very least this year.
As we've said before, though, in terms of first-party stuff coming out, I think Nintendo has some of the strongest catalog stuff coming out. Sony right there with them, depending upon what types of games you're looking for. Microsoft, Gears was their last big one for the year. Gears 5.
That's what I'm saying. The talks for Game of the Year are not huge.
I think that was purposeful, because I think Microsoft is already starting to spin up for whatever.
Yeah, of course, everybody is.
Project Scarlet's going to be, and
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a slow year for Game of the Year. Next year's going to be a big argument for
I think that's also one of the reasons they've been focusing on getting as much stuff from this generation on Game Pass and trying to build that up, because it's a great distraction and a great way to play things that you haven't necessarily played for this generation as you get ready to go into the next.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting end of the season, because it seems like more and more by the day we're getting more stuff to play, these surprise announcements.
So if you look at Nintendo, they have Pokemon coming out, Sword and Shield. They've got Luigi's Mansion coming out. They've got Link's Awakening coming out. What else?
That's it. That's about it for their main ones.
I think there was something else.
That's what. See, this is how I'm feeling with Nintendo. I feel like there's always something else. And I'm like on the edge with it, but I don't. Exactly.
Sony's got Death Stranding, and what else is on the horizon for them?
Sony has a couple different like hidden gems. They have that game, that spray paint game. No, there's a spray paint game. There's like 10 Sony exclusives that nobody's talking about. That game Erica, it's a live action game.
Yeah.
They're doing a weird deal with Control where the DLC's coming first.
I heard
doing
it's like 30 days first or something.
Yeah, and then there's oh my god, the graffiti. I can't remember the graffiti game's name.
Like a Mark
really
Echo
cool.
getting up or something.
No,
like that.
you can either play it in VR and do like actually paint, or it's like these monsters and stuff that you draw on the wall and they come to life. I just can't remember the game right now, and I'm kind of sad that I forget it. But there's like, just to say, 5 or 6 Sony exclusive games that have come out either a few months ago to the end of the year, and they've been, there's a couple of them, and people just aren't talking about them because Sony's is doing their thing on the internet now, like they're doing their YouTube channel.
And speaking of the Sony thing on the internet, the state of play, as they call it, we haven't had one in about 4 months or so.
Oh, and technically, Final Fantasy VII is going to be an exclusive.
This is true.
It seems so weird to me because you don't see at the end of the trailers, there's not like only on PlayStation anywhere. There's
not only that, but the weird thing is they just released the old Final Fantasy VII remake on Xbox like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. So like Square already has this We Play with Xbox thing going on in the background, so it's not that hard to port from Xbox to PlayStation anymore.
Oh no,
really.
But I feel like again it's the polish thing. They were like, let's get some backup funds from Sony and let's focus and get the polish done well, and then a year out they'll give it to Xbox.
Not only that, it might very easily be a No Man's Sky situation where like a year or two later it comes to Xbox, so or launches on whatever the Xbox 2 is, Project Scarlet.
Exactly. That kind of stuff. It is weird though to see that. And then we're getting a Last of Us 2 event actually. Towards the end of September.
Yes.
So everybody's hoping to get an announcement out of that.
Have a state of play tied in with that or something.
Yeah, well they're hoping to just get a release date announced.
Nintendo's dropping directs left and right with stuff in it, and Sony's kind of just like chilling.
Yeah, essentially.
Which is interesting. I mean, I know they're coming up on the end of their generation, but you'd still think they would talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
The games for PlayStation Plus this month were really good.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm definitely going to check out Darksiders 3 eventually.
Darksiders 3, which is a brand new game.
It still says $60 in the market, and it's like, oh, okay. And I love when PlayStation does that.
It got really good reviews. It was like 7s and 8s, like depending upon the outlet. So.
Yeah, literally good. Good on the scale, not great.
That's pretty much it for us, guys. We don't really have too much else going on. We're in
the most part
end of summer gap as we're getting ready to come up on all the new titles coming out. So expect to hear more out of Borderlands and more Control.
There's gonna be a lot of good stuff coming out. We kind of just wanted to sit down and bang out a quick conversation with you guys regarding some of the new stuff we're excited about.
I'm gonna be trying to put out a video soon about Link's Awakening because I'm gonna be picking that up on the 20th when it comes out.
Okay, you're scooping that immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. That's good that we can talk about that. I'm doing a bunch of new things over on the channel too, guys. I'm trying out a lot of new solo videos, trying to get some playthroughs out there, and gonna let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, like and subscribe as he said, and leave a comment and let us know what you guys think of the shows.
And always keep on gaming.
Yes, sir. Peace out.
Later.